Yo, it's the Sauce Kid official Tory Lanez, and right now you watching Hot New Hip Hop. You dig.
I was thinking like last time I saw you, like usually I see you at South by every year, but this year you're too big now. Like I feel like it's
Don't do that.
but like South by is like no longer.
I'm never
like,
too big for Hot New Hip Hop ever.
You were overseas, I think.
I was in, was it London?
No, space isn't that overseas?
Somewhere. Yeah, somewhere overseas.
But basically, like, because I was thinking about, so the last time I saw you would have been at South by in 2015 or right before you dropped your debut album. So then I was also thinking about the timing, like it's August, so it's basically been a year since you dropped your debut. So like, what's happened in a year? Like, how do you feel like a year later?
I don't know, man. My life has been. It's been very up and down, you know.
What are like some of the ups and downs just in the past?
I don't know. You know, I had a son.
Okay,
you know?
I was gonna ask you about that because like you did an Instagram post. We posted about it on Hot New Hip Hop, but then I was like, is this legit? Like, is that someone else's son? Because you put like an emoji that made it seem like maybe. I feel like it was a cry laughing emoji or something.
Nah,
that was like
it threw me off. OD cute. Like,
oh, okay.
Nah, that's definitely my son.
Okay, that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely my son. What's special about him though, and like what a lot of people don't know is, like, because here's another thing that happened. You know, the whole situation of me getting locked up with the whole little confusion of that. You know, that whole little time or whatever. But what people don't understand is actually the day my son was born was the day I got locked.
What day was that?
It was August 12th. No, I'm bugging out. April 12th.
Okay. I was like, yeah. Okay.
Sorry about that. It was April 12th. And I was coming out the hospital. I was leaving out the park. I didn't even get out the parking lot. Like
where was
the cop was
born?
already plotting on me from the night before. But that's what, you know, I think that's something special about, I don't know, the day he was born. I'll always remember it.
Yeah. What city was that?
It was in Florida.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's basically your home base now.
Of
like
course.
Payne was saying, you just came from Miami. Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like, what else happened in the past year?
It's a lot of shit, honestly. I can't, if I was going to sit here and just talk about it all, we'd be probably just talking for hours, but I can't just pinpoint every single thing because everything has happened so fast.
Are you on good terms with the baby mama? Can you speak on that?
Yeah, I'm on good terms with every girl who's ever been in my life.
Okay.
You know what I mean? At the end of the day, but my baby moms, I'm never on no bad terms. I'm not in one of them child support, situations. You know what I mean? We got a good understanding of what's going on. And
so does your son live in Miami?
Yeah.
Okay. So just like in the past year too, like how do you feel about your album now? Just looking back at it, like have you learned anything or like?
It's cool. It's always gonna be a very important part of, my whole collection. And I love that album to the death because of how it is. I don't care how people feel about you did this many skits and you did. I could like, give 5 fucks, but my thing is just like I'm glad at what that album was, but that album is not the second album. There's a lot more music, and there's a lot more collaborative efforts done. There's features this time around. Mm-hmm. There's producers that I probably didn't work with before that I'm working with now, and there's just things that are very different. I started writing again.
Like actually writing down?
Yeah, like writing down. I got my composition book. I got that back with the college rule lines on it. That's when I'm in my A+ game.
I'm always like I prefer writing like to typing or anything really. Like if I write it,
I got into like typing on the phone and all of that, and it kind of took me away from like really spit. It's actually crazy because I rap differently when I write it on paper.
Well, I wanted to talk about the second album a little bit later because I definitely had like some questions on it and like just based off what you just said. But basically, like it sounds like you've like in the past year you gained some insight and you're putting that into your second album, which is basically what I was kind of like getting to. Like you, the second album definitely I was definitely explaining a lot of things, a lot of answers that people because I'm a guy that I don't feed into everything that the media does. I know there's artists out there that
when something happens, like, you get an immediate answer, and it's like because it's so pressing to them, and you know they really care, you know. And not to say that I don't care, because of course I care. That's why I still address it, but I address it on my time, because at the end of the day, if it's not that important to me, I'll address it on my time, you know.
And that's something, I mean, like, just with the, so basically, like, your career path, like, I mean, it's all in your debut album. Like, that was, like, that is your narrative. Like, the narrative that was your debut album. Like, you put out, like, 17 mixtapes before your debut album versus, like, a lot of, like, your peers right now, or people that like might have just dropped a debut album in the past year as well. Like, they don't have that like entire, like, they don't have that entire backstory, like where you worked publicly, like you were working very hard and it was all public. It was like we saw your career grow, and it's kind of something, because I interviewed 2 Chainz recently. He had like a similar thing when that, like, we saw 2 Chainz, like he put in all this work and it was very public in the same way that you did. So like putting in all that work was super important for your debut album. But when you were putting in all that work, did you feel like you were getting somewhere, or were you like frustrated at the time, like, why can't I just catch my break, like what's happening? Like, do you ever feel like you're
for the first one or the second one?
For the debut, yeah, just for the debut, like, just like
nah, man, I was at a great place before I had signed and before I had gotten to the cycle of doing that album. And so it was just like a plus for me, and it was just like I already had the foundation. Like, I was already selling out my shows prior to that album, you know what I mean? Like, people think that Say It was the reason why we started selling our no, we were on tour before that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Say It was just a new song when I was going on tour. Like, if you knew it, you knew it. It was like one of those kind of situations. And I feel like just because of those core people, and, you know, shout out to all the Swave Nation citizens, but just to those core fans and those core people that were there, I feel like, you know, I will always have that foundation of people who are going to like the music regardless. And, you know, it's people who come to me sometimes and they're like, yo, you know, I was about to commit suicide and I listened to your music and it just changed my life. It's things like that it's like I could tell you're somebody who's been listening for a long time, because the subject matters of things that have come from now to then.
Like, that's something similar, even like that 2 Chainz was saying was super important. It's just like having that progression, having that thing where fans can be like, I remember when you put out like this first, like Sincerely Tory or whatever it was, like all these mixtapes that are super old, like your fans were growing with you. So you had that like really strong fan base versus like an overnight star that like might not have a solid like foundation. Because I was even thinking, like, when you dropped your debut, like just in the past year, it's not like your life changed. Like, you were already doing what you were doing, but like maybe now you're doing it on a bigger scale. Like, I
think the thing about it is this: it's artists who, you know, you get like a radio success and you go all the way to the top, but you never had time to build that foundation. Yeah. So when you fall super hard because you have nothing to fall on. And then there's artists that work so hard at the foundation that by the time they get the radio record, it's like if you were to fall, you didn't fall from anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they was already rocking with you.
But then there's also like, there's probably new fans that are just like, they think that I Told You is the first thing that you ever put out.
But and at the end of the day, they're special too. Because at the end of the day, you got on when you got on, and there's still a long legacy to go. So you're still a part of the foundation, whether or not you're getting in right now or if you got in back then. It's just a matter of, you know, how long and consistent you listening to the music. You know, consistently you listen to the music.
Do you like you know the term like industry plant?
No.
You don't know that term? So basically, like artists that have been cultivated.
Ray, you got a lighter? I'm so sorry, Rose.
It's okay. But it's basically like an artist that's, I mean, the idea is like an artist that's been like cultivated by a major label and kind of like force fed to the people as though it's organic, but they're like really had like all this major label backing, and it's just kind of like under the cover. So like, there's a lot of, I don't know, it's a term that's like being used a lot lately with artists. Like, I don't know if that's something you've ever seen, but like the idea is that like you are clearly not an industry plant, because we see the mixtapes and the work and all that, like 2 Chainz, Nicki Minaj, people that have been putting out mixtapes for a long time, versus like an artist that just like a Post Malone, for example, that just like pops on the scene and like has a fully furnished sound almost. And like, so that's like I don't know, I just wanted to get your take as like someone who's not an industry plant, if that's something like you've encountered or like have.
Honestly, I've never heard the word before, but this is like I'm kind of sitting here like, okay, this is what this means.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, there was an artist like Rory. I don't know. He's not even. I don't know what he's doing now, but like he wore like a T-shirt that's
the cigarette song.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
That was his song.
And he like kind of claimed the word. Like he was like, yeah, I'm an he wore a T-shirt that said like industry plan on it on the cover. Well, he was on the XXL freshman cover one year. Maybe it was the year.
He's a talented guy.
Yeah. So, anyways, it's just like
I haven't heard much from him like lately, but I don't know. He could still be putting out music and it could still be fire. I just haven't really heard a lot from him lately, but what I have heard was fire. I mean, honestly, to be a buck with you, like, I don't give a fuck how niggas get into the game. If your shit is fire, your shit is fire. I don't give a fuck if the industry pushed the machine behind you and you was independent first, or if you was saying you was independent this whole time and really you had the machine behind you, or whatever the case is. Like, if your shit is fire, your shit is fire at the end of the day. Like, more power to the fact that you got here, because there's a lot of us that are, like, you know, we're dying before we get here, or we're just not getting here. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, more power to whoever get here. Like,
do you feel like you were like ever, or is this something that you feel now like an outsider to the industry? Like I feel like the whole thing with industry plants is that they could be like critical darlings. Like the industry might really fuck with them, but like the fan base, it might not translate or might not like extend to like a fan base. Whereas like, I don't know, I just feel like because you've had like such a push like against the industry, like I just feel like there's been kind of like what do you
know what it is, man? It's like you know when you go to a new school and everyone's like, yo, that guy's kind of cool, you know? And it's like they want to chill with you, but they're like, you know, I got to fill him out a little bit more, though, because, you know, I don't want to be the first guy to just, like, stamp him and say he's cool, and then he fucks up. And then, you know, I think with people, I'm a little bit more bolder than, you know, a lot of people. And the things that I do sometimes are very, like, wow, I can't believe he'd be so bold to say that or to do that. But the thing is with me is just like, I'm an alpha, I'm a leader, I'm somebody who doesn't follow the trend. So sometimes to people who are in a trend, or, you know, people who do follow the trend, whether or not they follow it early, sometimes it's scary to see somebody like me, because I go either against the trend or I roll with shit, but then it's like I have my own way to do it. And sometimes people don't always agree with my way.
I mean, I think I just felt like there was like a disconnect. Like I definitely feel like you're in the industry now, but I've always felt like, and that's kind of part of your charm, and that like you weren't like you had to like work so hard at it just to, for some reason.
I mean, I was always in the scene though. The thing about it was just like people always fucked with me behind the doors, because remember I was the guy with the songs.
Yeah,
I was always the guy with the song, so you couldn't just be like, yo, fuck that guy, because at the end of the day you would be like, fuck that guy, and then I'd walk in your session and I'd play you like 5 fire records that I knew catered specifically to you, that I made that morning for you and for your session. You know what I mean? And then it would be like, I mean, he's still talented. You know, they would have to give me that. So like, and I was satisfied with that, because for me, I'm such a versatile artist as far as like just trying to be different and just trying to elevate my sound. I'm such a versatile artist that I don't ever try to, I don't what's the word? I'm not a reacher. I don't know if that's even like the right word,
I know what you mean. Like,
I don't reach. Like if I ask you for a feature and, you know, you say no, I'm gonna keep it pushing. Maybe, you know, you'll do it later on when I get more hot, you know? I don't reach. I don't, you know, and I think sometimes artists kind of need a stroke of ego. Like you have to kind of stroke an artist's ego and let him know that you're, you know, not superior, you know, in a way, before they kind of give you that blige. And me, I was just always a person that's just like, look, man, if you like my music, man, and I like yours, organically, hopefully we can work. If you don't want to work with me, I'm gonna keep it pushing. You know, my first album had no, you know what I mean, no features, no famous guest appearances, none of that. And, you know, that went gold in a couple months. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm not impressed.
Do you have like real friends in the industry? Would you say, like, would you call people real friends?
I got a couple people that I
like
would
A$AP
say,
Ferg, and like people that like you've been on tour and collab with a lot.
I feel like everyone I've ever really went on tour with, like I've made friends with,
like a real friendship with.
Yeah, like I've never really had a tour where, because I'm a really down to earth person. Like I come out and like when the tour is stiff, I'm the guy who kind of give the energy to everybody. Like I come around and I just, you know, I'm I kind of get positive energy opposed to everything else.
I've known you like over every year that I've like met with you for an interview or whatever. It's always been like the same vibe. So it's never like you've been
same guy. Like, you know, I'm always smoking. You know, I still smoke the blunt to the roach raid. Call me Roach Killer. Y'all know what's up.
That's my.
You know, that's all it is.
My brother smokes it like guy. Till there's no more.
What?
I actually wanted to ask you like about your relationship with Sasha. Like, how long?
It's the illest guy in the world, man. Like, before we. let me just rephrase what she said. She wanted to ask my relationship. One of the most interesting, illest dudes in the world. You know what I mean? That's my manager, by the way, and he's the reason why y'all are able to see me on so many different platforms, because when I was pushing, he was pushing. And, you know, and I would advise all artists, you know, to not look at your career and look at a manager to be there for a partial time. If you're going to get into business with somebody that's supposed to be management, make sure it's somebody that you feel is lifelong. You know what I'm saying? Because that's a weird thing that we randomly have, me and my manager. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's been my manager, and that's been it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
How
saying?
long has it been? That's what I was wondering. Like, when did he start?
When was it?
Because I was trying to.
Like 7 years.
Okay.
He was like when I was down at the bottom. So, and I'm a very loyal person. Like, my life is based on loyalty. So for me, it's like,
because I felt like Sasha emails me more about you, but like I felt like there was a time period when you were just emailing directly, and then like at some point it transitioned more just to like Sasha.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, yo, people don't understand this. Like, when I first was like signed independently to the other label that I was signed to, the first 2 years I was like my own manager.
Yeah.
I managed.
There's a lot of artists that start like that.
I was like just my own guy. Like, I was sending it to HotNewHipHop and World Star, and, you know, luckily, you know, people were posting it, and that's what it was until, you know, I met Sasha, and then Sasha just came in and calculated everything. And
I mean, I remember like like one time when you had emailed me, like someone from One Umbrella, it might have been your brother, and then like I had never posted it or something happened.
Yeah, he was hating on my brother.
Yeah.
Shout out Brooks, man.
But I like
shout out Wolfgang, because I'm telling you right now, shit is fire. This shit is lava right now. This shit is OD crazy. This next project is just so crazy that I know this time around you guys have to post it. You know what I'm saying?
I can't remember, but like that's your blood brother?
It's my blood brother.
Okay. So okay, wait, what's his name? Wolfgang Peterson. And then, because I mean, that's what I was gonna ask, just about like your, like, now that you're basically on, like, are you gonna push like one Swave or one Umbrella artist in particular?
Everybody's coming.
Okay.
I know I've said that for a long time. Yeah,
that's why I'm like,
but you know what the thing about it is? You know what the thing about it is? Every single person around me is a perfectionist, just like I am.
Yeah.
And what's so great about it is my team they're not, you know, some people have like a blind ambition sometimes, you know. People are very impatient. It's not about the craft to them. It's just about releasing. My people are more so on perfecting it so that when it does get released, it gets released in the best way possible, the best formats, the best beats, the best production, you know, and nothing short of anything that I would do. Probably if not, you know, this gonna be better, you know, just because they have different sounds that the world hasn't heard yet. And for me, a person like me, you got to remember, I'm not moved by a lot of sounds because I can do everything. It's like, and I'm not even trying to be cocky or sound cocky or anything like that, but I really want you to take this in. It's like, how many times have you seen in a HotNewHipHop comment, yo, he sounds like we can put the list we could put the list down on how many times they've said, yo, Tory Lanez sounds like but you know what's crazy? None of those guys sound like each other. So it's like, how am I able to take all of those sounds and sound like every single one of these people, and none of these people sounded like, you know what I mean? It's crazy. But for me, it shows me that it's like I've mastered these sounds. So it's like I'm not moved by a lot of things. So for me to be moved by these artists is because they have something different to offer.
Are they all rappers, singers?
No. Some of them sing, some of them rap, some of them do whatever they do. Some of them, it's not. I wouldn't even say rap and sing. It's just their own genres. Slave. You know, it's their own. I wouldn't even call. I just let them call it whatever they call it. You know, but yeah, that's really what it is. Like, you know, it's a team of versatile people and a team of people that I think pass like that standard bar of like, this can just pass. Like, this way past that. Okay. You know what I mean?
So is the idea like to have an imprint for them where they're distributed like through a major, or like is that
most definitely? Okay? Listen, these are not my artists. I want the world to know this right now. We are all the umbrella collectively. I'm not coming out and saying Davo's my artist and Mansa's my artist and Wolfgang's my artist. These are not my artists. These are people that I'm going to be working side by side with because they're too cold to be my artist. You know, I don't ever want to be the artist who came out and, you know, 2 years into his deal, he got like 6 artists under him. Yeah. It's not that time yet. Listen, I don't need to do that. Yeah. You know, I have these people that I've been working with musically, and they're the faces, and you know, with my team and with the people that are around me in house through the umbrella, they will go.
Is Play Picasso one umbrella? Like,
of course. Play Picasso is like, he's like one of the most loyal dudes that I've ever met. Like, just in general, period. Like, he's a different kind of dude, and I know we were trying to get that, you know, that on camera thing going, but he just, you know, he doesn't go on camera. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's funny. I seen like a little y'all had some guy on there last time. They had some guy on they had some guy on there last time. I don't know. He was looking like
his artist page. He was looking like someone else. It was like a photo of someone else. And
then there's no pictures of Play. I even seen like a forum one time on like Reddit where they try to like put a picture up and was like, yo, this is the guy. It was like some guy from like a trailer of mine that was just in the background, and they were like, that's Play. That's not Play.
I don't even know who he had, because I
can't find out what this guy looks. You will never find out what he looks like until he decides that he wants to show y'all what he looks like. But I promise y'all, he's like the coldest, coolest dude like that you'll ever meet. You know what I mean? And honestly, I think production wise, he's just better than everybody else. Like,
I wanted to. Okay, well, now that I wanted to ask about like Play Picasso versus Benny Blanco. Like, how do their roles, like, what are their, I guess, like, how would you describe their roles in your career? Like, Benny Blanco is like Play Picasso is like a guy that you got to remember is like my friend. Like, we struggle together. Like, that's
like,
literally what, like,
don't get me wrong. Like, Benny is like a great guy. Like, that's like my mentor. Dog. Like, that's my, like, I wouldn't be here without Benny. Like, you dig what I'm saying? I wouldn't be at this spot without Benny. Like, Benny is the guy who basically took it to that next level and was like, yo, you're bigger than you even know you are. You know what I mean? Like, him and Sasha were the, you know, the people, and Zv, of course, you don't know Zv, but you know, those three were the people who kind of brought it to me like that. So for me, Play is like a guy, you got to remember, we came up with sounds together, we produced together. He taught me how to really produce on the computer. Like, he taught me Fruity Loops. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is a guy that, like, we struggled dollar to dollar together, and we came up together, like, you know what I mean? Beat making and making music together. He was my engineer. He's still my engineer to this day. From the Chicks Tape 2 on, we never stopped. Yeah. Benny is more like a mentor. Yeah. You know, a dude who kind of comes in sometimes, and he'll hit me with the, when everyone's like, yo, this shit sounds amazing, he like orchestrates, this is I need you to hit this and do this, and ultimately it always comes out better. You know what I mean? And even he may not know it, because sometimes, you know, like, as an artist, like, we're very stubborn sometimes, and someone tell you to change something, you're like, and you change it, and you're just like, but whenever I always listen back to the music, and whenever I listen back to the music, I'm like,
I should change it.
Nah, I know it's the change that I might do for him in the meets and in the time, and I'll listen to it like, he was right. Okay,
that's what I was wondering. Like, has he ever brought you a beat or like done something that you're like, no, I don't, like, really don't fuck.
All the time, all the time. But I bring him shitty ideas that he doesn't fuck with all the time too. You know what I'm saying? Like that's part of chemistry. That's part of us being able to argue with each other and say, yo, this fucking sucks, and him to say this is great, and me to say, yo, this is incredible, and him to say, yo, this is bullshit.
And in that relationship is like Play Picasso on your team. Like, is he there in the room like siding with you?
Play is a very, very, like, he's a very ghostly guy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he just phantoms in whenever he comes in, and you know what I'm saying? Like, he just, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? He's just a very, like, he'll just kind of go with the flow. But, like, he's very, when it comes to everything production-wise, it's not go with the flow. He's strong on his production, and that's his strong suit, and nobody can see him when it comes to that. You know what I'm saying? And even the same thing as Benny. Like, when Benny gets to his craft and he gets to doing what he does, there's nobody I've ever seen that can do what he does. And that's why he has more number ones than anybody in the industry. You know what I'm saying? Like, as far as urban acts, as far as anyone you could think of. You know what I'm saying? Anyone that's popping, think of anybody that's popping right now. And Benny can go in a room with them and say, yo, I got 26, 27 of them number ones. 27 worldwide number ones. Like, I've only gone number one in the country. People, you know, on urban, we go number one in the country. That's our number one. But he's going number one in the world 27 times, and he's only damn near 27. It don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? It just that's the team and mentor that I have. You know, so that's you know, I remember me and him used to have this conversation. I used to always come to him and be like, yo, Benny, you think it's possible that I can make 25 number ones before I'm 25? And he used to be like, if you try hard, you know what I'm saying? And I used to be like, no, I could do it. But I never realized how serious and how hard that really is to do, just regardless of the fact of just making a number one record in general in the world. It's very hard.
25, like, that's a lot. How old are you now?
I'm 25. I just turned 25.
Okay. So didn't meet your goal?
Hell no. but you gotta remember, I just signed like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago.
Even on the I Told You press run, like, you've always been like super confident and cocky. And there was an older interview that I was watching where you were like saying, I think it was with Angie Martinez, and you were saying how like you observe, like, people. You were saying of yourself, like, people can be like, oh, I don't know if I like him, just because of like that confidence, basically. Like, it could be off-putting. So it's kind of like, are you super self-aware of how people observe you, like, in that way? Or like, what do you think?
Of course, but it's like, if I cared, I wouldn't be a great artist. And I'm not even putting that title on myself like, yo, I'm a great artist, but I'm saying all great artists never cared. They did what their heart felt. You know what I mean? Sometimes it wasn't always the best decision, but that's what kind of made you live and, you know, and have your moment with that artist, you know what I mean, throughout his life or throughout his career or her career or whatever the case is. Like, so for me, it's like I'm a rebel and I have a cause, and my thing is like, at the end of the day, if I feel like this is what I gotta stand for, that's what I'm standing for, and I'm wholeheartedly all for it. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. Like, until something changes my view and changes the way that I see it, it's like that. You know what I mean? And that's just me. So,
like, I mean, do you feel like you know yourself and like you know how people?
I definitely know myself.
Okay, yeah.
Definitely know myself.
But did you, like, is that a point that you've just come to, or do you feel like you've known yourself for?
I knew myself. Okay. I'm not one of those people who
was like
came into music and just was like, yo, I'm just gonna see what happens and just weather in the wind. And nah, like, I know what I came here to do. You know, I came to make music and to be the biggest artist in the world, but to be the biggest artist in the world with making music that's healing to people, to making music that's something that inspires people, something that gives people hope. I'm here to give people hope that come from dark spots, that come from, you know what I mean, like certain lifestyles that the whole world may not pay attention to. That's why I have songs about everything, and that's why I can't wait for, you know, us to hear this new album, because like, yo, there's certain things that are said on this that's like you would never, well, you would expect it from me, but you expect it from me like back in the times when I was like making super creative music. You know what I mean?
I mean, I was gonna ask, like, so what, I don't know if you can say it, like, what's the narrative on the second album? Like, now that, like,
yo, can I roll up right now, or
like, roll up?
Nah. Hey, yo, Ray, you can pass me the
But yeah, like basically for the second album, like now that you've done I Told You, like what's next? Like you basically told your entire story. Like I Told You was your come up, was your entire struggle until like you signed. Like that was the storyline. So like what's the next narrative? Like is it gonna be as like I guess as concise of a theme, or is it gonna be like more
no, it's not gonna be as much to take in as the first one. I don't think that it wasn't catered to me like that in my head. The way that I did this one is it still has certain pieces and elements that, you know, if you're a listener to my old stuff, then you'll understand where it comes from. But it's music. Like it's a lot of music. You know what I mean? It's less story, but it's more like, you see Conflicts of My Soul. I don't know if you remember, but how everything transitioned musically. That's how this is. It's incredible. So, it's just something you got to listen to. Like at the end of the day, that's like when I was trying to explain I Told You at the start, and it was like, okay, like I get what you're saying, but it's not really. I can't explain it. Like you have to just listen to it. Like everything is just said. Okay. You know what I mean? But it's said through the music.
So I mean, okay, so like you already mentioned like on Twitter that there's not going to be samples. You mentioned that there's going to be features. So like you're already like, that's already a completely different direction than your first, in that like there were samples and there were no features. Like and the first one I felt, I don't know if you did it intentionally, but it ended up feeling more R&B than rap, just because of like it
was a lot of singing.
That's just what the overall vibe felt like in the end, and like it was great. I'm just wondering if it
was cool, but my problem, I wouldn't even say my problem with it, because I love that album, and I still will always call it a classic because of what it is and you know the body of work that it is. But my thing with I Told You, when I listened back to it, there was nothing to really dance to. It was nothing to, and when I say dance, I don't mean necessarily get up and pop lock. Yeah. I mean, there was nothing to really dance to, as far as like, it was nothing that really made you like want to, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll play this at a party. I'll play this at it was only the you know, the two singles that had came out. Yeah, true. You know what I mean? And that was my thing. I think I kind of went at that with like a really, I don't know, like an industry kind of approach to it, because it was my first album. Okay. But also I'm still satisfied. It wasn't like I came with an approach that didn't give me the result I wanted. That's the exact result that I wanted. But now for the second album, I'm glad that I did that, because there's so much more different things that I can do this time. Yeah.
Well, like you mentioned a song that like has no hook. So is that like there's going to be more like just rapping Tory, like straight bars, or
there's
like,
there's a lot of bars on this for sure, but it's not like, you know how sometimes like you about to hear a tape and you think it's full of rap. It's not full of rap. It's full of great music. Like, you know what I mean? But it's definitely not. I Told You. Okay. It's like, you know what I mean?
What about the skits? I mean, that was something you mentioned at the beginning of our interview. Just like, I feel like if there was a criticism, it was about the skits. Personally, like I didn't mind them. Like you said, like you put them, you played them.
I think it was just the fact of how I guess on the sound thing, how Apple and Spotify kind of has to split it as a separate track, so it makes the tape way longer than it is. And it's like when you listen to the CD, everything just flows, and if you don't want to listen to the skits, all you do is hit next. You know what I mean? But with Apple, it made you have to go through track to track to track to track to track to track.
But is that something like we'll hear skits again, or what?
You'll always hear a little. You'll always hear pieces of cinematic elements to anything that I do. If it's music, if it's videos, if it's anything I've ever done, my whole approach to it is cinematic. So there's always something. It may not just be a OD amount. I'm not narrating, and you know what I mean? Like that was a lot of things people got to understand. I was narrating and putting skits, and it was a big piece of work that it was for you to listen to and you to take it on your own time, and you to love it and listen to it, and you know, and cherish for what it is. You know what I mean? And this album will be something different for you to love in a different way, and for you to cherish what it is in a different way.
Yeah, no, the one thing I think you mentioned, or did you mention at the beginning, that like producers are going to be different? Are there different producers on this one, or like anything did you work?
Yeah, there's some different things.
Okay.
There's some
I just
different
want to throw
things.
this
There's
out there
definitely some
because it's
different
like,
things.
have you ever, I don't know if you've ever been in contact with, but like thought about working with the Dream, like for the R&B stuff that you do? Like, I just feel like that could be a crazy combo.
I love the Dream, man.
Okay.
One of the greatest R&B dudes ever.
That's like
make
my
music
R&B
ever.
thing. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he's one of the greatest to do it ever.
I just feel like if
I feel like
you guys clap, that could be crazy.
I would love to. I would hope that one day I run into the Dream somewhere and I'm able to make 1 million records with him because he's an incredible artist. And
I think he's underrated for that. Like,
very underrated. Yeah. But I like, sometimes I think we use this word underrated and it kind of puts the artist down. It's like he's not like like the work speaks for itself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the work speaks for itself. At the end of the day, you gotta remember how much number ones he got.
Yeah, he's almost like a Benny Blanco figure.
He's the guy, man. He's the guy, and he's still. Anytime he ever pops in, it's like he's still. Oh shit! The Dream on this. It's just.
I want you guys to connect. Let's put that out to the universe.
Let's definitely do that.
I think that could be crazy. Okay, so I guess like anything last about the next album, like. Features, you said there will be features. I don't know if you can say anything. Is it too early? Like, it's
definitely features, man. There's definitely features that you want to hear.
Oh shit!
Drop the cherry. It's all good. Hope it doesn't burn the rug.
It's okay.
But there's definitely features that you want to hear. It's definitely collabs that you've been kind of wanted to see.
Have like a timeline for like when we would hear the first single or like anything like that?
Yeah, actually everything's actually supposed to be out like ASAP. I want to say like at least the first records that should start popping should at least be like a week and a half or 2 weeks at the latest.
Whoa,
you know what I mean? Just to start putting the singles out and to put,
So now like you're on like, okay, because like even, so in between this and I told you dropped 2 mixtapes and you just dropped them for free. A lot of people nowadays are doing commercial mixtapes, like mixtapes that are on Apple, but they're still calling them mixtapes. Like, are you like, I don't know why, I just feel like it's weird because like when you search Tory Lanez on Apple or Tidal, like you just get I Told You, but you have so much other music that like it just feels,
that's the disconnect.
Yeah, it's weird though.
The whole disconnect is because all of my music has never been for purchase.
Yeah. But like,
I've like my real music that's like besides the album.
Yeah.
Nothing's been for purchase because I always cared about giving people free music. I never wanted people to have to pay for it because it was like, yo, listen, at the end of the day, like, I'm gonna make my money regardless off of shows, off of whatever I do.
Yeah.
But at the time, I wasn't thinking about selling the music. I wanted to get it to you. You know what I mean? And I still kept that motto. But now the sad part about it is a lot of the places where you used to get free music are actually being taken over by the Spotifys and the Apples. And that's now the better platform because people are not just, buying one record. You get a subscription and you're in. You know what I mean? And then you're listening to all the music that you want to listen to.
Yeah.
So it's like at the end of the day, it kind of makes the music way more accessible now. But now, this is what we do now.
Mixtapes? Like, would you ever go figure out how to put them on there and like release a commercial mixtape in the future?
I think what it is a lot of it just comes from like just me having certain samples and certain things that are just like OD, like, you know what I mean? And no matter how good the song was, like
4 is like heavy with like all the
even Proud Family, like I could never clear that. It's Disney. You know what I mean? Like I would have loved to clear that, but it's Disney.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? At the end of the
crazy.
day, like it's certain things that I just think will be left where they're at, and it's new music. I have so much shit. Like,
how many songs did you record for the second album out of like
65? Not even. Like, what I do, right? Like, I was in there every night recording like 3-4 a day. Like, but like ones that I would say that can go on the album, I had to like cut 30 songs. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had to like be like, damn, like I can't put this on this one. Like, I'm gonna have to put this on a mixtape.
That's
I'm
literally
have to like
save it for a mixtape.
Yeah, like you know what I mean. So at this point, I just want the album to drop. I want everybody to hear it, and I want everybody to see the elevation. And one thing I'm happy with is a lot of second albums. I feel like they're never better than the first one. But this one I know is better than the first one.
Yeah, sophomore slump, but like, yeah.
I know this is
I feel like, just from like what you're saying.
I'm not in like one of those spaces. I'm not in one of those like rich nigga spaces where in my head like everything's fucking, oh, I bought this and I bought that. I'm in my head. I'm in a very different. I'm in the underdog.
Yeah, like
I'm the people's champion. I'm for the people at the end of the day. I'm for the things that. I'm for the stresses that when people call me every day and they tell me this is going on and this is going on and this is fucking up my life and da 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 da. I'm for that shit. That's the shit that's where my head is at. That's the shit that I talk about. That's the shit that inspired me to feel like, yo, you know, I gotta do something that's inspiring for them. You know what I mean? Or they ain't gonna have it. So that's where it is, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you're still hungry, like you still have a drive.
I'm more than hungry. I'm starving.
Yeah. So I guess can you share a title of the first single, or is that too much? Leave us with that.
What you think, Ray? Yo, shout my man Ray, go get the condoms out here in these streets, you heard? Word, my nigga, word. Shout my nigga Ray out here, B, word. Sorry, I had to put the dogs on. Shout my nigga Payne, nigga Mid, Jay, all the dogs, them, Nice, B, you done know, all the man, them, you done know how the things are rocking already, seen?
Okay, so no single title.
Yeah. Nah, we gonna leave the single title alone, though, but that's a big shout out to all my dogs. Make sure you keep that in there, you dig what I'm saying? Word. Gotta keep all my dogs lit out here. Word.
All right, well, that's a wrap for me then.